Now there's nothing worse, it happens to all of us when you open the fridge door and inside there's about 10 different vegetables. There's like a little half an onion, a little bit of leek, some potatoes, and you just have no idea what to do with it. And more often than not, you end up throwing it all out. I'm going to show you a great way of saving all those vegetables today. So you can see a little selection that I've got there, a little bit of everything. Possibly not a whole dish that you can make out of it. I'm going to change that now. I'm going to make you a quick, simple soup. Now, this is the sort of soup that restaurants make a lot of time. I mean, main reason you see vegetable soup on a menu in a restaurant is because the chef's got little bits and pieces left around from the past week. So he just wants to get rid of it all. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's not saying that the vegetables are bad. Those vegetables are all perfectly good. It's just, I wouldn't have enough carrots to make a puree or something to put with a whole dish. So just trimming them all up. And that's why there's no actual ingredients with this recipe. It's not, there's no predefined amount. I just find that each time you make it, you get a slight sort of different balance in the flavour, and it just makes it so exciting. So off come the skin of the carrot. And I think there's very few people out there who actually don't love a good soup, especially in the winter months. There's nothing better to warm you up. So off that skin comes. And the most important thing here is all these vegetables are very aromatic vegetables, so you're going to get a nice strong flavour, especially when we blend it all together. So just roughly slice your garlic. Garlic and the onions are actually things that you pretty much 90% of the time expect to have in the fridge anyway. Roughly sliced. We're going to turn our little pot on to a medium heat. And this doesn't just apply to vegetables. If I had, say, a chicken breast left in the fridge, I'd just cut that up, pop it in, add a little bit of protein. So starting off with a little bit of oil, we'll go in with our garlic and our onions. And we just want those to cook slowly for about 4 or 5 minutes over sort of a medium heat so that they release all those beautiful flavours. Parsnip, slightly woodier and harder than the other vegetables, so we're just going to go with quite a fine dice, because that might take just a fraction longer to cook. And there you go. Just roughly chop our carrots. Now you don't have to be too precise with any of the chopping at this stage, because the whole thing is going to get blended at the end, so it just doesn't matter. Also got a leek. Now I always have leeks lying around. I think they're a fantastic vegetable. They're very much underrated. They don't have all the sort of the punchiness of an onion. It's more of a subtle flavour, and if you sweat them off like this, absolutely delicious. Nothing better than like a leek and potato soup. But here it's just one of the flavours that we're adding in. Couple of herbs. I've got some thyme, just breaking that roughly in. Just remove any of the bigger woody pieces, they might not necessarily blend down even through the blender. A little bit of green pepper. It's not going to take long to cook it all, the green pepper. On it goes. And this soup will keep for, I mean, if you've got a large amount of vegetables left over and you make it, it'll keep for a couple of days in the fridge. So if you've got the whole family, they can come along, help themselves to a little portion. Absolutely perfect. Last of all, a potato. Now, potato is fantastic for giving the soup a little bit of natural body. Just thickens it up. So just take the skin off. And in it goes. Preparation time there, literally 4 or 5 minutes just to chop up those vegetables. We're going to sweat it all off, and then it pretty much does all the work itself. So it's a very, very straightforward thing to make. Just keep the vegetables moving now for about 4 or 5 minutes and get those lovely flavours to come out. So you can see those vegetables have been on there, they've softened up. All we have to do now is add in the stock. Now I'm just using stock cubes that you buy in a supermarket. Realistically, most people have those in their larder, so it's a lot practical. I'm using vegetable stock today. You could also go with chicken stock. So in that goes. Now we'll just turn the heat down on that. The vegetables are really nice and aromatic, loads of nice flavours, and we'll just let it simmer away for about 15 to 20 minutes until they've softened up and we can then blend it. If you just look inside, you can see that the vegetables are soft. Those are going to blend down absolutely perfectly. So just turn the gas off, remove it from the heat, and just using a stick blender or a regular KitchenAid or any type of blender, just blitz the whole thing together. Now this is where it's totally up to yourself. Some people like a really smooth soup, so you keep blending and you could even pass it through a sieve or something like that and you'd end up with an ultra smooth soup. I like it a tiny little bit chunky, so if I just pass the spoon through there, you can see the slight little lumps of vegetables, and I think that's really hearty and nice. The last thing I'm just going to do, check it for seasoning, a little bit more salt, and just bring it together. And there's absolutely no reason why you should be throwing those sort of old vegetables out. That's taken us 20 minutes to make, and you've got an absolutely gorgeous, hearty soup that you can just have a cup of any time over the next couple of days. Doesn't get any simpler than that. 20 minutes, lovely vegetable soup.